One of my favorite things about this uniform is the way that it makes your dick look.
Willie Taylor and his youthful lover, full of mirth and loyalty. First they went to the church to be married. He was pressed and sent to sea. Dolly diddly dum diddly dum dum diddle oh, dolly diddly dum diddly dum dum day. Dolly diddly dum diddly dum dum diddle oh, dolly diddly dum diddly dum dum day. She dressed herself in men's apparel, got on board a ship of a war. Her pretty little fingers long and slender, she gave them all a smear of tar.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to What the Hell Happened to Them? Jack Attacks the Cast. That's right, Jack Nicholson this season. I am your host, Patrick Skeyhill, and joining me on the line is the Shore Patrol, Joe Vekeman.
Hi, it's nice to see you.
Is it?
It's always nice to see you.
All right, then. And on the audio boards is Lev Van Rensselaer reminding me to remind you that you can email the cast at whathappenedtothemcast@gmail.com. And Joe got a surprise for us this week.
Oh, nice surprise.
It probably happened a couple weeks ago. I was a little late in checking on this information, but we have over 50,000 downloads now, Joe.
Oh, heck yeah.
It was just like a year and a half ago we made it to 20,000. Look at us now.
Wow. Is that the big of a spike? Wow.
Now
For
listen,
a little old us?
I know to you listeners out there of other podcasts, probably doesn't sound like a lot, but keep in mind, we have no celebrities on this podcast. We're just two dudes in a bedroom.
Separate bedrooms.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Semantics.
3,000 miles away.
But it's one bedroom in our heart. So,
Yeah, of course.
thank you all for listening and tuning in. 1/5 of those is Fast and Furious 6 episode for some reason. I don't know why.
That's frustrating.
It's everybody's into that
I don't even think I'm
one.
on that episode. What does that mean?
I don't think so either. I think that's Brady. So we appreciate that. Thanks for keep coming. Gives us encouragement to go on for years to come. All right, Joe, what movie did we do this week?
We did Hal Ashby's movie from 1973, The Last Detail.
All right. And what happens in this coming-of-age story?
2 Navy men are ordered to bring a young offender to prison, but decide to show him one last good time along the way. So I want to know if I'm getting this right. He tried to steal $40. He was not successful at stealing the $40, right?
Yes.
And that's why he's going to prison for attempting to steal?
Yeah, attempted burglary. But it's attempted burglary against a commanding officer's wife's fundraiser. You don't want to piss off the boss.
Yeah. 8 years, though. No previous... That seems like a lot of time for not actually... And they make fun of him, too. They're like, you didn't even spend the money? It was $40?
Well, there is a lot. The era we're in, obviously, is the Vietnam era, as this movie comes out. And there is a lot of this under-the-radar anti-Vietnam statement here. The lampooning is happening at the expense of the military command, shown as incompetent and bureaucratic and getting in its own way and needlessly vindictive and petty. These higher-up officers all jockeying for a limited and useless power, and everybody else just kind of caught up in the middle of it. I think the most damning thing is they get there, they drop the kid off, and then they're like, it doesn't look like the master-at-arms signed your thing, so I guess you're not really here. And they're like, well, we are here. And he goes, that's not what the paperwork says. My old nemesis, bureaucratic paperwork. Who would have thought you'd rear your ugly head? And then, they got to play the game. We're like, all right, well, then give me your executive officer. And he's like, fine, I'll sign your stupid thing. Get out of here. And then he doesn't even do that right. So,
yeah.
A big, strong lampooning here of the military at large.
And Jack Nicholson and Otis Young are like, hey, let's go get some beers.
Yeah, it's just like...
Let's just keep going to pubs. I'm gonna say something. Randy Quaid, very tall, had no idea how tall he was, and it's only in reference to maybe how short Jack Nicholson looks in this movie.
Randy Quaid did not look very tall in the Last Picture Show. He looks very tall here.
Forgot he was in the Last Picture Show.
I was like, oh, look, it's that goofy dude from the Last Picture Show. And then I go, oh, yeah, Randy Quaid. Okay, makes sense.
Wow, he's in Paper Moon. He's in What's Up? What? Does he have small parts in these movies? I've just watched these.
Bogdanovich really liked him.
Leroy, I don't even remember him in that.
Listen, if you had to look like Randy Quaid or Dennis Quaid, which one would you pick?
Well, I can't even say Randy Quaid now because I've seen Dennis Quaid's new faces.
Got a new face. Wow.
He's done something. He's plumped his face up a lot with like fillers, not like food.
Maybe he filled himself with food.
No, it's definitely stuff to make his face look younger, but it looks just bulgier. Like his nose is really big. It looks like wider. And I'm like, this doesn't look natural. And I only know this because he's in a new Disney movie that they keep showing a preview for, like the voice actors for. With Jake Gyllenhaal and someone else. There's another name in that. Anyways, yeah, Randy Quaid, though, he's not looking any better at this time anyways. He put out a viral video a while ago where he was wearing masks and just like spouting like political nonsense. And he had his like wife with him in the hotel. They were both like locked in there in Canada. I don't know if he's like a fugitive or something. You haven't heard of any of this?
No.
I will send you some stuff on this. Where are you in the world? You don't know about any of this weird shit that happens?
I'm going to take a poll. I bet most people don't know what's going on with Randy Quaid. And I bet there are also a good chunk of people that don't know he exists.
That's not nice.
They're going to be, you mean Dennis?
And let me tell you something. He looks young. He looks very young.
Yeah. I buy that.
He looks like a baby. 18. A tall baby.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I didn't recognize him in those other movies. Like this one, he's like front and center. He's like the third main character. So, I liked the movie. I didn't love it. I was hoping to love it. How did you feel about this?
Yeah, I did like it. It took me a while to get into it because tone was hard to gauge from the movie.
Definitely. The music was very strange at the beginning.
Music was pretty much strange throughout. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I think the music,
I noticed
by the end of it, I was like, okay, you're being sardonic music, but it's the straightest satire you'll ever see.
This was a weird one for me. You know who else we saw in this movie? Again, this season, we've seen her once. We've seen her twice now.
Oh, Carol Kane.
Her name is Carol Kane.
Yeah.
And another strange role for her.
Yeah, it took like 5 minutes for Carol Kane to get a line. So I'm like, are we going to get another randomly silent Carol Kane role here? Then there was a bit of time where I'm like, is this Carol Kane? But thank God Carol Kane always has the blackest under eyes.
Yeah. I mean, it fits the character.
Looks tired all the time.
Yeah.
It works when she's a tired out prostitute.
And how could I forget, we got Nancy Allen, too.
Jack Nicholson recognized her from Carnal Knowledge.
Who, Carol Kane?
Yeah, she was like, Jack, man, it's good seeing you again. He's like, okay, what?
I was monologuing over your scene.
Yeah.
You didn't say a thing.
You were that broad, okay.
Yeah, this is, I wasn't too hot. I don't know. I was just not too hot on this. I think I was like hyping it up in my head too much. I've also been watching, I've watched a few Hal Ashby movies this year that I really, really liked, like Coming Home, which comes out later this decade.
The audio hurts a lot of the movie, especially since it's very dialogue heavy. The audio is just not great here. And it's just a problem of 70s filmmaking in general. We talked a little bit about this with Andrew when we did the Easy Rider episode.
Yeah.
Getting out of the studio put some pressure technologically on the sound equipment they had at the time, and it just wasn't always fully prepared, especially depending on the budget. You can do some stuff in post, but they're outside. They're recording that audio live. It's tough. But like once I got into it, I was, 20 minutes in, I was like, all right, I'm on board. Let's go. We're going on this little odyssey here now that I know what's going down and now that I strong understanding of what you're trying to do. I did not love it. I think I liked it more than you, though. Written by Robert Towne. I wonder if we'll see him again.
Why would we see him again?
Yeah, I don't know. Just some podunk screenwriter, whatever.
I got some fascinating trivia for you on this one.
Give it to me.
Jack Nicholson turned down the role of Johnny Hooker in The Sting, which he thought was too commercial to appear in this film, which was written by his good friend Robert Towne. Nicholson and Redford were nominated as Best Actor of 1973 at the Academy Awards, losing out to Jack Lemmon in Save the Tiger.
Yeah, Jack Lemmon kind of Hollywood royalty by then. That was going to be a tough one to win.
Absolutely.
I like that he thought The Sting was too commercial. This movie actually felt kind of commercial to me, too. I don't know why, though.
It's just three buddies hanging. Oh, they're not buddies, but they become buddies. It feels like during the movie.
There's a camaraderie that forms there, and this is sort of what, talking with Dash, friend of the cast, this is kind of how he describes it. Like, everybody, they're all coming from these various backgrounds, and they wouldn't be friends if they didn't have to be, but they bond against kind of the circumstances imposed upon them by the world or the enemy or their own COs, and so there is that thing here where they also acknowledge that this punishment is kind of stupid. And this kid clearly not worth putting in jail personality-wise, just some young 18-year-old that was a little dumb, has this kleptomania problem, psychological issues, apparently an alcoholic mother. There's a whole thing going on here. So they get it, but they want to let him go, but they can't, and we see how much they emotionally cannot do it because of all the crap it will cause for them. The strong Vietnam allegory here is that they're caught up in something that they have to do that they do not morally agree with.
I don't know where I should go to next with this. John Travolta was strongly in the running to play Meadows, only losing to Randy Quaid at the last minute. John Travolta, a younger John Travolta than we've ever seen. That's crazy. I cannot imagine John Travolta in this role.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like a good one for him.
Not at all.
Too much edge to him.
John Travolta's edgy?
Well, he's got a little grit to him, or like a little. He's not like sweet, stupid country boy. Randy Quaid has this innocence to him. I don't think Travolta's got that. There's an element of cockiness to him.
Yes. Yeah, definitely a little cocky. So, when the film failed at the box office, the studio re-released it, marketing it as a hilarious comedy with a tagline, "What's the last detail? 300 beers and a barrel of laughs."
Yeah, then HBO was like, would you like to see this comedy film? And I go, I can't imagine that's true, but we'll give it a shot. It is a satire. There are some humorous elements, but it's really a dramedy.
Dramedy, yeah. It's kind of funny, I guess. I don't know. I really wasn't laughing too much.
No, it's a very straight set. It's a very dry comedy, but it's there.
The word fuck and all permutations of it are said 65 times, which was a record at the time. And I'm sure Scorsese would.
Yeah, Scorsese said, "Hold my beer."
And then Jack Nicholson was like, "Gladly."
And then he yodeled a little bit.
Oh, this is the film debut of Nancy Allen. Isn't that nice? And yes, I'd like to talk about this a little bit. I haven't watched the movie.
You haven't watched the movie for this show? You're talking quite a bit about it.
Not this movie. Another movie. In 2017, Richard Linklater, do you know where I'm going with this yet? Announced a sequel, Last Flag Flying, which would have Bryan Cranston, Lawrence Fishburne, and Steve Carell playing the parts previously played by the three men we saw in this movie.
I did not know there was a sequel, and also that sounds like a terrible idea.
So you haven't seen Last Flag Flying?
I haven't heard of it, no.
Oh my god. It's on Amazon Prime, if you're curious. Steve Carell is playing the Randy Quaid part.
I don't want any of this. This
fucking sense to you.
This all sounds terrible. When did this movie come out?
1970. Oh, the new one, the sequel, 2017.
This is a really new sequel. Who was asking for that?
Nobody! Nobody wanted this. You know who saw it? Nobody. I will give you the box office on 2017's. Let's see how they compared with the time or whatever.
Richard Linklater made this as like his follow up to Boyhood. Like why?
I think no, it's not. He made Everybody Wants Some, I believe, before that.
The baseball thing everybody forgot about?
Yeah.
Everybody did not want that.
Wow, this movie was a giant failure. $10 million box office. Oh, wait, shit. No, it did fine. What are you...
Don't look at me. I didn't say anything.
No, I read it backwards. No. Well, they were saying it was a big bomb and no one wanted to go see it. $2.3 million budget, $10 million in box office. It did fine. It wasn't a giant hit, but...
I think it was smart of everybody involved to be like, okay, only $2 million for this, right? Like, we're all aware of the difficulty we're going to have.
They don't list the budget for the Last Flag Flying movie, but the box office was under the budget of The Last Detail.
Oh, I thought you were just reading me the box office
the
to
other
the
one?
sequel.
Oh,
You're like,
no.
they made
No,
it for
no,
$2
no.
million and it made $10 million. And I go, smart move. This movie, I totally buy for $2 million.
Yes, The Last Detail was made for $2 million, and it had a budget and a box office of $10 million. The Last Flag Flying had a box office of $1.9 million.
Makes sense. I never heard of it.
Well, that's partially on Amazon's fault for not ever advertising, not even on their home website thing. It's never on the page. It's just sitting on Amazon Prime for you to stream whenever you want it.
If you know that it's there, you have to know, though. You have to know and you have to want it.
Did they change the names? They changed the names. How is this a sequel?
It's a spiritual sequel.
It's just this is such a weird thing that this was even something that exists. But my thing would have been, don't cast Steve Carell. If you want to go for Randy Quaid vibes in that movie and you're making a spiritual sequel, John C. Reilly. Perfect casting. He's a tall oaf.
Yeah, you could do him. Who's that guy from 30 Rock? That guy's a country guy.
Oh.
He's a country yokel.
The blonde guy, the Kenneth, the Page, or
yes,
whatever, right?
that guy. McBrayer, is that his name?
Yeah, Jack McBrayer,
Jack
right?
McBrayer. There you go. Get that guy. Probably reads too young, depending on how far in the
I
future
think that's
you
why
want
I said
this to
John
be.
C. Reilly.
Well, I'm just do they want it to be immediately after he gets out of jail? Then I think Jack McBrayer's your guy.
Oh my god, this is fun. Robert Englund.
Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, he auditioned for the Randy Quaid part.
Yeah, no wonder Jack Nicholson's staying up all night drinking. He doesn't want to fall asleep. Robert Englund's going to get him.
Do you know what time of year this came out? This came out the day after Valentine's Day.
I can't think of a more romantic movie than this movie that has 1.5 female characters in it.
1.5? So someone was chopped in half?
Yeah, surprise, surprise, audience. This movie does not pass the Bechdel test.
Oh, yes. Why? Why would it?
Who would
it's
have
just
thought?
about 3 men drinking
Three
beers.
sailors sailing around, metaphorically.
You know what? I think I chuckled when Jack Nicholson was drunk trying to put the bed, assemble the bed.
That was good. He's drunk. He's also drunk trying to seduce this lady. He's just talking to ships. Open ocean. He gets distracted by a light bulb in front of him. He's like,
That was good.
doing a lot of yodeling. When Jack Nicholson's doing the getting angry at the system thing, all right, whatever. It's all the little things that he's doing in here. I think he's really reacting in real time to things that I don't know how fully scripted they were. There's a little look he gives with his eye, a beat change that he kind of nails without him even talking. He's just listening. That Nicholson charm he puts in to these kind of surprisingly quiet moments comes out pretty well. Well acted movie all around, really.
Another thing I want to add is how Nicholson is starting to age a little more. We can see him aging. His hairline, it's going back a little bit.
Yeah.
And when he combs his hair nice and straight at one point, and you can see his hairline's going back. But then he's got this mustache. Such a strange mustache.
Well, he's in the Navy.
It's a choice.
Got to have a mustache.
Does he?
Got to sail the 7 seas. Yeah, in the Navy.
Okay, I see what you're doing, but does what was it? Otis Young? Does he have a mustache? I don't remember him having a mustache. The funny thing is, Randy Quaid in his IMDb picture has a mustache.
Oh, he's got quite the mustache.
What other Hal Ashby movies have you seen? Let's talk about Hal Ashby for a
I
minute.
don't think I know any by name.
I've watched this year. I watched. Have you seen Harold and Maude?
Yep, I saw that one.
Okay, yeah. So I've seen Coming Home. I saw 8 Million Ways to Die. Have I only seen 2? You know what? I probably put this one off because we were doing it, and then I never watched Bound for Glory, which is his folk movie.
I've not heard of it.
But I loved Coming Home, though. That's why I was like, Hal Ashby. I can't wait for Hal Ashby. Jane Fonda, John Voight, and Bruce Dern. Bruce Dern. We've done a lot of Bruce Dern with Nicholson.
Yeah, he was popping off this time.
Yeah, but I was very underwhelmed by this, and it was a little frustrating.
As an anti-war film, it's a direction we don't often see, and it's a much more subtler track, and it's even a little even-handed in it too. Like they go to that party with the Buddhist hippies, and the woman's like,
"Oh yeah,
why are you in the Navy? What did you think about going to Vietnam?" He's like, "Well, I had to do it because that's what I was told to do, and I didn't have a choice." And she goes, "Didn't you?" I don't think you understand how the military works. Like, it's not a choice that we have. We get drafted and we have to go. And so this like disconnect between, and then like the one hippie lady is like, all right, well, I can't do anything meaningfully to help you, Randy Quaid, so I'm just going to chant a lot. And I think that's going to, like, it's this action versus action thing, and their divorce. Like, they hate this thing, and it's rightfully so, but their ways to go about it aren't super helpful in theory. Obviously, the protest did mean a lot, but there is an attitude of just, like, refusing to understand. And it was the way we treated the soldiers when they did come back that caused a lot of issues, and we've gotten better as a nation with it. But you can see the beginnings of this disconnect between the two populations.
I thought it was kind of like interestingly filmed. The when they're hearing the chanting outside of a room, and then they walk into the room, and it's like I didn't know what to expect. Like it's filmed like very mysterious. Like what are they gonna find behind this door with all this chanting going on? And then it's just people like looking like they're praying. Like kneeling down and praying. In that group is a pre-SNL Gilda Radner. Yes, I just saw them in the trivia. I was like, oh wow,
yeah,
film debut.
Pops in there for a half a second. Yeah, and it's weird. They're just outside of this bead door, and nobody's like, I wonder who these three hulking dudes are outside of our apartment, just suit. Standing there as we're talking about chanting. We finished the chanting. Now we're just talking about the chanting. Yeah, the movie smartly does not feel the need to film in standard coverage, which is nice. They did get coverage of a sort, but they didn't have to be like, well, let's get our little master and then a couple of close-ups as they're talking. They were much more interested in people talking in shots together. Makes it feel more organic. It makes it feel a little fresher. Absolutely. I think that helped me too. Yeah, it was a fun way to do an Odyssey movie. It's an interesting tone. It's a better way of doing a satire, at least, or like an unexplored way and a style. So there's a novelty to it for me. I didn't mind.
I'm sure if I watched again, I'll like it a little more. It's just I was a little cold on it. I think I was in my head a little too much about it. I thought it was gonna be a romp, and it was not.
At least I went in not knowing what genre I was getting, so maybe that was part of it. After I figured out what tone the movie wanted, that's when I could settle in, like 20 minutes in, so maybe that's why I had an easier time.
Yeah, I was promised 300 beers and a barrel of laughs, and I got 300 beers. And
you only got like 8 beers. It wasn't enough.
There's another tagline for this movie that I was going to try to do. If you saw it, it's no bleepin' Navy's going to give some poor bleepin' kid 8 years in the bleepin' brig without me taking him out for the time of his bleeping life.
That's a long tagline.
If the movie was funnier, yes, I would go for that one.
Maybe just so long. Well, in regards to something that was underwhelming for me this week, let's go talk about Young Rock.
My name is Kid Rock.
Oh no.
And I want to thank Lev for putting together that new bump. He wanted to do a little something for us for our 50,000 download milestone. So he fixed that. Our old one was sort of thrown together somewhat quickly and haphazardly and didn't really relate to the Young Rock specifically. So it was nice of him to kind of put this one together for us. Sounds catchy. All right, Joe, this week, episode 3 of season 3, The Rock has decided to not help the president with the coffee solution because he's bitter because the president apparently ran a dirty campaign against him. So Randall Park's like, no, you gotta go save the day, you're The Rock. And he's like, I hate working with people I don't like, and let me tell you a story about that.
Oh no.
Yeah, and this one's with Kid Rock, right? His dad had gone and wrestled or attempted to wrestle in Saudi Arabia, and Vince found out about it and was mad, and so he gets fired from the WWF. and then goes back to working for his mother-in-law. Meanwhile, Kid Rock wants to get a Nintendo. My goodness, the amount of Nintendo product placement in this, and it's not even product, everybody's talking about Nintendo, including what feels like a 3-minute conversation between regular Rock and Randall Park, not Randall Quaid. Too many Randys this episode.
Randall Quaid.
It was probably like 50 seconds, but they just go back and forth of talking about Nintendo, and then they talk about how much they like the game Metroid, and then they talk about what the plot of Metroid is, and we're like, well, we all know. Go back to your show. Why are we... Is The Rock in a Nintendo movie that's about to come out, or is he making a game? What is happening? Why is Nintendo being talked about ad nauseum here?
I would not be surprised if he showed up in the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Yeah, it was as bad as that episode of Hawaii Five-0 where they just talked about how great Subway is for a whole minute. And the guy was eating a Subway right there. And they're like, wow, it's only 300 calories? That's crazy. And he goes, oh, I know. And then what about this sub over here? This one's got real chicken. I'm like, oh my God, shut up, everybody.
Have you tried the meatball?
Yes. It was, I talked to one of the directors on Hawaii Five-0, and that was like one of the first things I'm like, what about that Subway? And he stopped me, he goes, oh my God, they hated that. Everybody hated that they had to do that. They felt so disrespected.
Well, of course they should.
There's like a promoter at the Polynesian wrestling that nobody likes and has turned it from a little fun family business into this kind of, self-involved thing. And so they don't like him so much. Rocky's parents go to his grandmother and they're like, listen, you got to get rid of this promoter or we're going to go. And she's like, well, I'm keeping him. Good luck. And then they go off to start their own wrestling thing, maybe. Well, that's the plan anyway, as they leave. And the thing that makes The Rock look really good in the end of this is he realizes his dad had to pawn off some things to pay their bills after he gets fired. And he worked hard all episode to save up money, and instead of buying the Nintendo, he decides to get one of his dad's pawned items back for him. And there you go, Rock, perfect son.
What a good heart The Rock has. Wow, he's so good. We should elect him president.
Very presidential.
We're spearheading the campaign, haven't we?
Oh, yeah, we're the campaign managers, obviously. No, and then in the present day, or the future present day, I guess, Randall says, if you help the president solve the coffee shortage, I will get you a Nintendo. And The Rock says, okay. That's how the episode ends.
We need someone, or maybe if I can ever figure out how to do audio stuff, to isolate you saying, Kid Rock wants a Nintendo. Just keep repeating it and we'll Kid Rock wants a Nintendo.
Kid Rock wants to get a Nintendo. So, I want to do another Watergate watch.
Watergate, oh, Watergate.
Watch.
Oh, hell yeah. Bring it on. I can't believe you have another one.
Well, because I'm actually surprisingly close to the birthplace of Richard Nixon. And so what I did this weekend...
Where you live?
Yeah, where I live. Mm-hmm. He was born in Southern California. And right around the house that he was born in, that's still up, they built the Richard Nixon Presidential Library and Museum.
Holy shit.
And I spent my Sunday there... I was there for like half of the time it was open, and I probably could have been there longer. It is so big, and there is so much. I'll send you photos later, but...
Thank you. Please do. This is great.
Yeah, there's 2 floors to it. You're only allowed on the first floor. There's a basement. The basement is like a bunch of archives. So many archives that people can do research there and stuff. Yeah, there's the big museum library part of it. Also on the grounds is the Pat Nixon Rose Garden that she began. And there's even a little section where each first lady since Nixon has gone and planted their own little rose bush there, so that was sort of neat. There's the house that he grew up in, which is tiny and shitty. Surprise, surprise. And it was actually, this is how the house got built in 1912. His dad looked through a Sears catalog and ordered a house and built it himself.
Oh, wow.
From a Sears catalog. He built his own house.
That's crazy. Did it come with a sink?
It did have a sink, yeah.
A fridge?
They had 5 children, and they had
fridges back
2 bedrooms. You know what? I actually didn't see a fridge. I saw an ice box. That was sort of it.
Yeah. I'm going to look up when the refrigerator was invented.
It was made by Harold E. Refrigerator of the Connecticut Refrigerators.
I'm going to quote you on that.
When he decided that keeping things cold was fine, but keeping things cold was much better.
Oh, shit.
What?
If he waited one more year in 1913, the first home electric refrigerator. One more year,
One
Nixon.
more year. That's all he had to do. Could have been built in there. Yeah, so like 5 kids had to sit in like a shitty-ass loft that could only fit 2 beds. Good for them. There was something humbling about the fact that like this tree was planted when they moved in, and I'm like, oh my God, you are a 110-year-old tree. You are all the things you have seen, tree. My goodness. They had the helicopter that he flew out of Washington in when he resigned. I get to go on that. That was neat.
What?
I got to go on the helicopter that carried Nixon shamefully away from Washington.
That's great.
You go into like this opening theater and like a little introductory movie plays. It's like 10 minutes long or something. And then you get to go through the big museum. There's also a second theater where they were holding a concert. They have a concert series on Sundays. This orchestra was performing. A surprising amount of people here on a Sunday, like kids of all ages, families, all ethnicities and backgrounds. It was a very populous area.
All right, kids, load up the bus. We're on our way to the Nixon Museum.
It's like, wow.
This sounds like a Simpsons episode.
There was also a wedding happening in the Rose Garden.
You're lying.
This
to
is
me.
a popular wedding destination.
You are lying.
I kid
to me.
you
There's
not.
no way.
Blew my mind. He has an amphitheater. A lot of information that was pretty useful. Very big Watergate. I'm glad they were like, yep, here's Watergate, and here's a big long Watergate hallway. We're not hiding anything. Watergate's here. But let me tell you what my real takeaway was from my time at the Richard Nixon Presidential Library Museum. 1, I've got to get one. I got to get my own Presidential Library Museum because it is stellar.
You're gonna get one?
I gotta become a president and get a library/museum because it is so, I don't know, it was so nice and pristine, and like projectors were like there was an amphitheater, like it was high tech galore. You're in a federal building, so like a guy has to make sure you're not carrying any concealed firearms, and he has to like wave you with a wand, like cool stuff. Gift shop. Imagine like what the hell happened to them gift shop? Wouldn't that be my presidential library? That'd be great. Oh, also, Richard and Pat Nixon are buried there. You could go to their graves. They're just right there hanging out. It's kind of weird. But anyway.
That is very odd.
Yeah, what my takeaway from my visit there is we are fucked. We as a nation, we're fucked. Let me tell you why.
Tell me.
Let me tell you why. Here are some things that notable Republican Richard Nixon did. And I want you to think if these are things that a Republican would do today. Founded the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency.
Oh.
Passed bills to protect endangered species and aquatic mammals that are on the verge of extinction. Increased vastly the amount of women in high offices. Started a presidential organization to help expand black and minority-owned businesses. More money funneled into public education. There were 4 Supreme Court justices appointed by Nixon, and yet the Supreme Court still said, yeah, hand over those tapes, Nixon. Come on, we think something fishy's going on there. Ended the draft, established peaceful relationships with communists. In the 1960 election that he famously lost to Kennedy, it was the closest in nation's history, separated by like 100,000 votes. And everybody, including Eisenhower, were like, you should demand a recount. You might be able to win this thing. And he went, nah, we don't want this thing to drag on for months and months and have people confused about who their president is. I'm just going to call it quits and say, good work, Jack. I'll try again another time. I'm like, oh, we are so far away from being this. We're just fucked. Like, this day could never happen. It could never occur. That's what I'm scared of. We've gone way too far, and even if like somebody tried to like be a rational person about this, everybody else would just hate them and like they'd get laughed out of politics, and like even their own base would be like, "How dare you not dispute the results of this election? God damn it! How dare you?" Yeah. Or like even before he was president, he was an architect of the Civil Rights Amendment. He brought the amount of segregated schools down from 68% to 8%. The amount of segregated schools went down by that whopping amount. I don't know. Those days seem to be gone.
I mean, it's funny because the only thing anyone ever remembers Nixon about is the Watergate scandal.
And all the movies are pretty good about acknowledging that point where, like, he's like, I've opened China. This is the thing I'm going to be known for, brokering peace around the world. And then immediately Watergate happens and he goes, God damn it. Yeah. And, there are plenty of things he did that are sort of unsavory, but like Barack Obama ordered drone strikes too. But we don't bring up that part. We just bring up the other stuff. It's a lot of selective history here. And, the age of Marvel has made it harder for us to intake moral ambiguity and hold these conflicting ideas in our heads. And be like, yeah, Nixon, kind of a jerk, but also Nixon did some pretty useful things, it seems. Things we can't even get the Democrats to do in our era. And this Republican was doing them.
Is there a picture of Richard Nixon with an endangered species? That's how we get him to be the next nominee for president.
The corpse of Richard Nixon. They're like, you could vote for Donald Trump or you could vote for corpse of Richard Nixon.
I know who I'm voting for.
The museum even makes brief mention of the opera Nixon in China. Well cultured this museum is. They had a communism display, like a mini gallery that's on tour, I guess. Didn't super relate to Nixon itself, but everybody likes the Cold War, I guess, so fine. Maybe I'll go see other presidential museums and libraries. These are some high-tech facilities.
I had no idea that was even a thing until you just told me.
Yeah, sensory stimuli galore. Like, it was kind of wild. You could pick up a phone and listen to, because, Nixon had 3,700 hours of recordings from the White House. You could, listen to a bunch of them. It's kind of cool. But there were a lot of benign ones where he's, calling the coach of the Washington football team. And he's just like, that was a hell of a game you did there. I didn't think you were going to pull it off. And it wasn't even I don't even think it was a Super Bowl game or something. It was just a regular game.
Well, maybe he was a fan.
Yeah, and then there's one, too, where, his daughter's calling. He's like, hey, what do you want to do for Valentine's Day with Mom? We got to come up with a plan. And
yeah, is that how they were talking, too? What do you want to do for Valentine's Day, Dad?
Valentine's Day, Dad? Boston's got the JFK one. I might check that out when I go back.
Hell yeah.
There aren't many of them. There's only 13 of them or something. Or Barack Obama's is going to be the 13th. There's a small amount of them.
Well, as we know, there are only 13 presidents that matter.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how history would like you to believe it.
Joe, what are your last looks on The Last Detail?
Yeah, this was a fine movie. Jack, Jack's doing his thing. He's on the Oscar hunt now. Yeah,
I was surprised that this movie got nominated for Oscars. Not that I think it's bad. It just felt like I think it just came out a little too late. I think it would have been a lot more revolutionary had it come out a year or two earlier.
Yeah.
Why does Jack Nicholson do this movie? Well, there is a strong anti-war, anti-authoritative bent to the film, and that's sort of in his wheelhouse. It's a character that he can take a lot of advantage of with his own natural proclivities. I don't blame him. It is a fun role. He got to just sort of pal around and do all these crazy shenanigans. Robert Towne is his buddy, so you could even think that the role to some degree was written for him too. That's a big honor. And then, he's in the Oscar hunt. This one gets nominated, and he has a good showing. It's probably the first film he makes knowing that he's a big star now, so it probably helps Robert Towne's script get made, and it is a little more commercially friendly, despite it not doing well at the box office, I guess. The trailer is probably really weird. Imagine you have a hard time marketing this film, which it sounds like they had to remarket.
Yeah, but like we said, it made money.
I think part of that is
$10 million on it
going
too.
Back out in the theaters a second time. Apparently that marketing plan worked. It's not a great one, but it worked, I guess. It's not as great as some of his other films, but it's not bad. All right, I'd like to thank Lev Van Rensselaer for minding those audio boards and keeping the sound so slippery smooth. I'd like to thank Joe Vekeman for stopping by.
Thank you.
I am your host, Patrick Skeyhill. You can find my features, documentaries, short films, video essays, animations, behind-the-scenes footage, and so much more at QuixoticUnited.com and social media, presumably, with a similar-sounding name. Thank you all for listening. Joe, say goodnight.
Good night.
Anchors Aweigh. Anchors Aweigh. Yeah. Then there was the time of great confusion in the world.
Busy morning, eh, Crisco kid?
That makes me feel like I'm fat. Do you think I'm fat? The hesitation. The hesitation.
I'm just
like
playing, Joe. And Weird Al was fat, and everybody liked that song.
Weird Al?
Remember that song, Fat, he did? Fat. It was a parody of Bad. You know what? I think that music video was directed by Martin Scorsese.
The bad one or the fad
The
one?
fat one. No, maybe I think it was the bad one.
I think he directed Bad. I don't think he directed
And then
the Weird
Fat
Al.
was, it was just Weird Al in a fat suit.
Oh, I see. I'm seeing here that David O. Russell directed that because he's a parody director because he's a fucking loser. I hate David O. Russell.
Strong David O. Russell.
I hate
thing
David O.
going on
Russell.
there.
If I have to sit through one of his fucking shitty ass movies again because I like all the stars he puts in them, I've had it. I'm guessing you haven't seen Amsterdam, or you would not be as fired up against him or as I am. And you fucking liked American Hustle.
I did not mind American Hustle. That's true.
Insane
I got no beef
take.
with American Hustle.
Bad fucking movie. And it's long. Ugh. Nothing worse than a bad, long movie. Do you have a Jack Nicholson impression?
Not a good one. It's a Jack Nicholson. I like the pizza pie.
It's so good. The Amsterdam movie is 2 hours and 14 minutes, and it felt like it was. What's that movie that you like? Hold on, I'll delay the joke.
You know,
it's
despite my grumpy exterior, I like many movies.
So it's like Saying Tango. It felt like Saying Tango.
Yeah, that's a long one. As much as I do enjoy it, I acknowledge that 7.5 hours is long for a movie.
Yeah, well, this movie was not even close to that, but it felt like it. I just don't know what happened because he made a movie in the 90s that I really enjoyed called Flirting with Disaster. Fun. Great cast.
Fetal Jennifer Lawrence, perhaps?
I mean, she would have been very young. It was like 96 or 7. It's got Ben Stiller in it. You've never seen Flirting with Disaster?
No.
It's good. It's funny. It's got a weird Josh Brolin performance. Also, Alan Alda and Lily Tomlin. Richard Jenkins. Very fun movie. The opposite of Amsterdam. Fun and cool. Don't know why I'm coming so hard against David O. Russell, but I think he's on a really cold streak.
You're in a mood this morning. My goodness.
Yeah, well, I was running around, and it looks like I'm not going to be able to see the Guillermo del Toro Pinocchio movie in theaters.
I'm so sorry you don't get to go see it. That's your whole holiday is ruined.
No, not at all. No,
by
not at
not
all.
seeing this weird looking Pinocchio thing.
Yeah, that's the fun part about it. It looks weird.
Why do we have so many Pinocchio movies this year? What's up with that?
Public domain.
I know, but was America hungry for Pinocchio films? Where we're like, man, we have not had a Pinocchio film in so long.
It's hungry for public domain and recognizable IP.
Oh yeah, Pinocchio. That's fine. I don't want to see Pinocchio.
I like Del Toro, even though it seems really mixed on him.
Which Pinocchio is the one that has the guy that sounds like Pauly Shore? Which Pinocchio movie is that?
Is there a Pinocchio with Pauly Shore?
Oh God, I hope not. No, there was one of the ones that was coming out. The Pinocchio sounded like Pauly Shore. He was like, Dad, I want to be a real boy.
Father, when can I leave to be on my own? I've got the whole world to see.
Well, there's also that really weird Sherman one. Okay, so no Pauly Shore in the weird.
No, Pauly Shore is not it just sounds like Pauly Shore. Sounds like an old grumpy man is Pinocchio.
Oh, no, it's Geppetto. Yeah, I don't know. He's not in the one from 2019.
No, like the trailer came out like in April or something.
April?
Or March? I don't know. I don't know if this is when the trailer came out, but it was when I was shown the trailer.
Yeah, I don't know who that could be. I'm looking at him, and there's always little boys, like 5-year-old boys that play Pinocchio. So I put in Pino into Letterboxd, and there's a movie called Pino, but before there's Pinocchio, the Disney one from 1940, the next one that comes up is The Place Beyond the Pines.
The Place Beyond the Pinocchios. That's where I want to go.
That's the movie that we need to make now. There has been a Pinocchio movie like every 3-4 years, max.
Gross.
What about Pinocchio and the Emperor of the Night? Look at how creepy this looks. There's like a demon.
Well, that would be the Emperor of the Night.
Oh, guess who plays the Emperor of the Night?
Tim Curry.
Think of a legendary voice actor.
Mark Hamill.
Very close. James Earl Jones.
Oh, huh.
And who plays, maybe James Earl Jones is it right-hand man? Why, none other than Don Knotts playing character G. Willikers.
Why
and
is
his
that-
friend Ed Asner playing Scalawag.
Well, that's a movie I both do and don't want to see somehow.
Last detail, right?
Yeah,
That's the one we did today. Enough Pinocchio talk.
Yeah, I'm out on Pinocchio. I saw AI. That's all the Pinocchio I need.